Hey guys, what's up? Mike here. Thanks for tuning in to another video. So in this video, I want to give you a little crash course discussion on user research and user testing. All right, I want to explain these, kind of give you some real world examples on how this all fits into the overall design process. Just yesterday, I posted a video and kind of going over some of the design process, my steps that I take that will take you from going from a blank canvas to being able to design some high fidelity screens. And I posted this to YouTube. Somebody commented and said, nice video, but you left out some steps like user research. Good point. That particular video wasn't to talk about the entire process, really just to get you started in designing some screens for your personal projects and being able to take on design challenges. But let's talk about user research and user testing. I think it's a good segue to kind of touch on those two topics, explain them, and talk about how they all fit in to the design process. This will help you out if you don't have a lot of experience in UX design, and you can pull a lot of nuggets from this and share it in your next interview and at work, and actually think about these things. All right, so user research and user testing. All right, so what is user research? User research basically is there to validate that you're doing the right thing. I'm going to talk about not how you gather the information, but what it is. User research is basically, the purpose of user research is there to validate, to reaffirm or confirm, to reassure that you are designing the right thing and your team is going down the right path. You don't want to spend 6 weeks designing something, 4 months developing something, put that out in the market, and you guys missed the mark. If you want to do it the right way, your organization, everyone should do some user research up front. Make sure and validate that you are hitting the mark, that what you're about to design, what you're about to develop, what your company is about to spend a lot of resources on is hitting the exact thing and designing the exact thing that is needed. User testing is basically testing out your designs to see how user-friendly they are and if people can actually complete the task that you designed for in a user-friendly manner. Okay, that's what user testing is. But let's go back and talk about user research. Let's talk about all the different ways that user research comes into play. So like yesterday when I talked about those two phases, phase one, the kickoff meeting, which is discovery phase, okay? This is when, as a designer, you're pulled into a meeting, you're being asked to help with this project, right? Every project has a kickoff meeting. In that particular meeting, the product manager, stakeholder, whoever, the CEO, is explaining what it is they want you guys to start designing. Now, user research either comes before that meeting or can come after that meeting. And let's just take the case of a product owner. A lot of times when you work for a company, the product owner is the person that's kicking off this meeting. They're telling you what it is they want the team to design. Now, a lot of times that product owner has spent weeks, if not months, preparing this particular document, these requirements and things like that. A lot of times they've done some research. They've done some research up front. They've talked with customers. They've gone to conferences. They speak to customers one-on-one. They find out what it is they want, and that's how it came to start this project, right? Real world example at ADP, product owners would go to conferences all the time. They speak with customers all the time. Customers might say, hey, I want this print option, or I want this option to this export option where we can download our tables and export this to Excel spreadsheets or blah, 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 okay? That was product owners hearing from customers. They start a project and now it's our turn. We have to design it based on that research, okay? Now, when there's more unknowns, okay, so a CEO goes to, another example, a CEO goes to a conference, comes back, they hear some things, you know, at the conference, they're at dinner and they hear some things in the marketplace. They come back to the company on Monday and they say, you know what, we want to move in this direction. We heard some amazing things and a lot of people are moving this direction. We should, you know, think about going in that direction. The CEO gives some orders on what products they want to build. Now, they might say, go on, do some research, make sure we're hitting the mark. Okay, so CEO gives the orders, comes down to the design team, UX design team now spends a few weeks validating those those wants, right? The CEO wants to build the next Uber app. I don't know, I'm just making it up. They hear everybody's going with Uber, DoorDash, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Postmates. We want to build the next thing. It's a gazillion-dollar industry. We want to move in that direction. Researchers can study the market, learn about what's going on out there, and come back and say, wait, listen, you probably heard this, but the market is actually moving in a different direction. They're not doing these things, they're doing this other stuff. So the research is there to validate those things, right? At some point, they make a decision based on the data, the research, and then it comes to that kickoff meeting where it's, okay, this is what we want to design. Okay, so research can happen up front before the kickoff even comes. The research can actually happen after the kickoff as well. So for example, the first kickoff discovery phase happens. Hey, the product owner or CEO, whoever, stakeholder wants to design this thing. You guys leave with some ideas, and then you can go on and do some research to validate those requirements that came out of that meeting. You can do it that way as well. So if there's time. Now, research is not always, it's up to the company, it's up to the clients, up to the stakeholders, up to the person in charge. Hey, do we want to do research, or do we want to start designing this right away? Okay, it's up to the company, up to the client, it's up to the person in charge, and say, hey, go out and do that research. Let me know, validate, validate, or let's see if these points are valid for the most part. Like at ADP, we would have a project, and if you have a customer base, we would have, like, we had a project once, and we wanted to build this calendar system and allow people to do these things called shift swapping. Okay, where employees can swap shifts. All right, this very complex feature within this calendar app. So this is going to be like a 6 to 8 month project. Before we built it, we did some research. We've actually asked customers, we interviewed customers, and we asked them and have them walk us through how they use their calendar, how they use their scheduling application, or our scheduling application. We found out that people aren't even using this particular feature on the desktop. It was a more mobile thing, right? So we kind of, before we went down this path of designing and building this out on the desktop, we thought, okay, we kind of discovered, we validated that, hey, this is not a desktop sort of feature. It's more on the mobile devices where employees kind of swap shifts and things like that, right? So we did some interviews, and we did some unbiased sort of analyzing of how managers go about their day-to-day. From that, we gathered a lot of data, presented that back to the stakeholders, and they made a decision on what path we should go. That's user research. All right, so that's essentially what user research is. Now, as you're going through your design process, you get to the point of like having some prototypes. You can do some additional research. You can take those prototypes to your customers, show them, and just kind of validate if you guys are hitting the mark. Okay, you go on and you can get to a point, and you can actually take those prototypes and you can do some usability studies, but really it's hard to do usability studies, like user testing, with prototypes. You have to have a kind of like a real working application. When you get to the point of having a real working application, research, let's just pause research. Now let's move on to user testing. You can do user testing with, a full working, application in a dev environment. You can use tools like Validately and a tool called user testing. These are services or solutions out on the market that's not cheap, pretty expensive, but you can use these. You can actually, you and I, we can actually sign up to be testers, and you can get like 10, 15 bucks an hour, or per test that you do. And basically you just record, you go in there, you have a headset, whatever, you record someone's application, and you go through it. You go through a few test cases that they want you to go through, and you kind of give your honest feedback. And going through that, like you can say, like at my last company I worked with, we used Validately, and it's expensive. It's like $40,000 for a license, for an enterprise license, but you're able to use their service, upload a link to your app, put your test cases up, and have people go through each of those test cases. So like we'll have 3 test cases, like, number 1, tell us what you think about our site. And people will, within minutes of you posting this, you can get feedback within 20 minutes. Somebody will record that themselves, post it, and tell you, you know what, I love your site. Looks nice, the color is beautiful, very pleasing to the eye, blah, 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 okay? And then they go through your other more harder task flows, and they give you their feedback, and they record themselves while they're going through, and they're thinking out loud as they're recording themselves, going through this stuff, right? So that's user testing. But these services are amazing. You don't have to bring people into your office anymore. You can just put it out there, and within a matter of minutes, like we did like a number of like 7 people. We tested 7 people, and within 45 minutes, we got back all 7. And basically, people recorded themselves, gave you feedback, and it was legit. They'll tell you, you know what, this is hard, and you can watch them click through things and try to navigate through stuff, and you can get a lot of feedback from that. Now, obviously, you got to take that stuff with a grain of salt because these testers are expert testers, but for the most part, you can get away with stuff. You can really get some honest feedback and get people to say, hey, tell me what you think about my site, and you get some feedback right away. That's user testing, all right? Now, at the end of the day, user testing is just testing your application to see if it's user-friendly, if it does what you're set out for it to do. But user research is actually validating, hey, are we hitting the mark? Should we be designing this thing? And then once it's designed, user research is about validating, hey, are we hitting the mark? Are customers complaining? Are we satisfying them? Are we successful in what we design, right? So research can happen in the beginning, in the midst of things, and obviously after the application is launched. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about these things, I have a lot of videos in my membership at MLUX Academy. You can try it out for free for 14 days. Check it out today. And if you have any questions related to anything that I just talked about, always leave a comment or shoot me an email. Go to MLUX Academy, use the contact link, ask me any questions personally. I'll be able to answer those for you. And I always respond to the comments down below. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.